Coach, thanks as always for the time. You guys are riding a nice little win streak here. You, you get the win over Maryville, a close win over the weekend. Came down to kind of a last-second deal there. And I know a win's a win, but does a win like this say more about the team than maybe a blowout win would do?
You know, we talked about it quite a bit yesterday. You know, we took Sunday off, and we got back together for practice yesterday. And offensively, it wasn't very impressive. They played Maryville plays a unique matchup zone that really got into our spacing and took away some good angles and we didn't really execute some things we could have. But I'll tell you what was very sexy was the way we went to the offensive boards. And you can get caught up in stats like assists to turnovers and certain things like that. But there's one huge stat when things aren't going well, if you can rebound, and especially go to the offensive boards. We had 15 offensive rebounds. That's really impressive basketball. And by and large, if all things, you can have great spacing and you can run your offense, and if you're not making shots, none of that really matters. But and yet rebounding really covers up a lot, and that's what we did. Then down the stretch, Maryville had, I think, 3 turnovers in their last 4 possessions. And I know on one back cut, they were really threading the needle on the Princeton offense back cut, and they were getting us, several times during the game. But our guys closed that gap. The very last play of the game, I wish every basketball fan could have seen it when Maryville had the ball, 10 seconds to go, ball out of bounds, and we're switching right now a lot of screening action, and George Edwards was on the screener, and Gavin Schumann was on the shooter, Provo, and Provo was in one. He was just in his zone, and the 7-second mark, I saw George go abruptly forward, and that was because Gavin just pushed him right in the middle of the back to switch out his man. And we talk about that stuff. We talk about, hey, you've got to communicate and physically move people when you switch. When you can talk about doing that in practice, and you can walk through that stuff, but to do that in a game, that's what showed me. And I told our kids yesterday, when you see a guy going flying forward, that's when Gavin Schumann really wanted to win that game. He wanted there to be no mistake that we were switching that out, and then Provo got out of rhythm, and fortunately his shot went off, and we were able to win the game.
Well, let me get this straight, Coach. I got to make sure we get it right for the folks. Coach Watson from USI finds offensive rebounding sexy. Is that like the headline for tomorrow?
That's okay if you say that. It's very understated. And again, if you were to watch the game and say, man, you guys played awful. And yeah, you'd have a point because, our spacing was ugly and our passing was sloppy. But something that is really attractive and really impressive is the way we went to the offensive boards. And I don't think it's ever, frankly, I don't think rebounding's talked about on any medium. I don't think it's talked about on television enough. I don't think anybody talks about it enough. And it's something that's really helped us get over the hump lately.
Well, one thing that I've noticed, you're on a 5-game win streak. You're shorthanded on the roster for various reasons. But anyway, you may not have the depth that you want right now. You're getting great guard play. But how do you guys as a coaching staff, how do you manage minutes when you got to have guys that are playing more than you want them to at times?
Well, that's the other thing that's a little bit misleading. There's 2 factors with minutes this time of year. Everybody's playing 7 and 8 men. If you really go back and you look at box scores, everybody's cutting. It happens every possessions in games are much shorter than they are in November and December. In November, December, we're trying to get in the mid-70s. Right now, the games are about 60-some possessions. Against Maryville, for example, they're playing a zone, so we're not getting worn out on offense. And we really weren't getting worn out on the defensive end either. The Evansville game was a little bit scary because that game had a pace to it. But this time of year, the game is slower. It's just the possessions. Everybody's playing for something. You're either playing for something or you're playing for spring break. And I'm certainly glad our kids are playing for something. So that really what's really hard about minutes is when you have 12 guys and keeping those, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th guy involved in the game and keeping them interested. we had Travis Britt is sick against Umsel. We ended up playing. Nick Hutchinson has been the one guy that's had screwy minutes where, he's kind of the fifth big guy, and his minutes are getting a little weird. But really, a shorter bench is more than normal you think. The games are shorter, so like Bobo Drummond, gosh, I think he's been out for literally in the last 2 weeks. I think he's been on the sideline for 2 minutes, and yet. We got to be smart with Wednesday and Friday's practices. We take Sunday off. And Sunday is a total day off, where you don't have class and you're off your feet. You hope they go to church because the way we've been playing, we need it. But other than that, you just got to be smart with their bodies on the practice days.
Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 and online, ESPNEvansville.com. We're talking to USI men's basketball coach Rodney Watson on the Menard Studio Hotline. And, Coach, on that topic of guys being banged up and everything, how is the overall health of the team, and what are we looking at going into the final games of the regular season?
Well, let's collectively knock on wood, but it's things are going well, and it's funny. George Edwards sends me a text yesterday about 1:00. Can't go, my knee's killing me, and I call him back and I go, hey, have you been to the training rooms? Yeah, I've ice. He goes, I just can't go today. And then we finished practicing a 20-minute full court dunking drill, and he was breaking a rim off. I said about 4:00. I looked at him after he's dunked about 20 of them. I go, hey, that knee's feeling better, and he just kind of smiled. And I looked at our trainer, guy. I think he's going to make it. And again, this time of year, everyone has got a little bit of a ding, and you want to avoid anything that's catastrophic. But our kids have done a nice job with just how hard they practice smart. They practice hard. We go for about an hour and 15 minutes on Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesday and Fridays, we try to not let our heels leave the ground because you can't win the game on Wednesday and Friday. Now, you certainly have to practice a certain way, but this time of year, you really cut things way back, cut it down, get a lot of skill work in, work a little bit on timing. We'll certainly be working on our offense today, but you just hope you can keep the guys in a good place. If they got dings, we have a great trainer, and just kind of go from there.
Well, you got 2 games at home this week, Coach, and Thursday, U of I rolls in 7th ranked, I think now. They dropped a little bit, but a tough ball game coming into the pack on Thursday. Talk a little bit about this U of I team, what you're going to need to do to get a win.
They're as good as any team I've seen since I've been here in 6 years, and I'm not trying to overstate that either. They are outstanding. They have a guy by the name of Joe Lawson that's averaging 19 in non-conference. He's averaging 19 in the league. Now, when you do that, when you're that consistent, where you're getting 19 a game, and non-conference typically you play some good teams, but you play some tune-up games too, and you can really pad your stats. But this guy's getting 19 in this league. Man, he is doing something. And Coach Gerard's got a very balanced team. They have a good point guard that transferred from Wesleyan, and they've got good shooters on the wings. They've got depth coming off the bench. They're playing about 7 guys too, but they have a real quality team. My name is McElroy, and he's a 4-man that's 6'7". He plays like he's about 7'2". He's a very high energy jumper and rebounder, shot blocker. He's got a completely good team, and I don't care what they're ranked. This team's to be reckoned with. It's a great time for us. I mean, it's going to be a big game. Hopefully, we'll keep our students involved. Our students have played a major factor in our home wins last week. They really generate energy for our guys. I was happy for our student body, but I was happy for our team to play in front of such a good atmosphere. Fellas. You go to games. I watched West Virginia and Kansas last night. Okay, now great game, right? And I look in the upper deck, and the upper deck's empty. There's something a little screwy about college basketball right now. Maybe more is less and less is more. But for our kids to play in such a great environment at home, it's going to be something our seniors will take with them for a long time. Certainly, it's senior week. Thursday is a game you got to stay focused on. Saturday against St. Joe will be emotional, being senior night, but frankly, this Thursday game is kind of a one-game conference tournament for us. We need a huge signature game, and we need a big win. It'll take all the energy we can muster up.
That is USI men's basketball coach Rodney Watson getting ready to face University of Indianapolis inside the pack at USI on Thursday night, hoping to get that 6th win in a row. Coach, as always, thanks for the time. Best of luck Thursday and Saturday. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you, guys. Great to be on.